I'll be reading from 1 Timothy chapter 6, 17 through 19. As for those who in the present age are rich, command them not to be haughty, or to set their hopes on the uncertainty of riches, but rather on God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. They are to do good, to be rich in good works, generous and ready to share, thus storing up for themselves the treasure of a good foundation for the future, so they may take hold of the life that really is life.
So let us pray together. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and Redeemer. Amen. Well, to check for signs of heart disease, doctors use a procedure called an electrocardiogram, or EKG. It's a test that records the electrical activity of your heart through small electrodes, patches attached to your skin. We don't have an EKG monitor here though, so can you find your heartbeat without it? Can you all find a pulse? Did you find it? I know you're all alive, so it's there somewhere. But if we checked our spiritual pulse, what would we find? Over the next few weeks, we're going to find some ways to check our spiritual health. We began the process this morning when we turned in those heart cards, identifying what we love about our church. Today, we'll consider how Paul begins to address the subject of spiritual health. While the idea of who is rich has many answers, the truth is that we in the United States are materially blessed when compared with the rest of the world's population. Some of our lifestyle choices might not leave much margin, but by most standards we are extremely well off. It often seems that the more we have, the more we worry about keeping what we have and about getting more. When that's the focus of our thoughts, expressing faith in God is more of a challenge. Bishop Robert Schnese, in his book 5 Practices for Fruitful Congregations, says that when people with different incomes are asked, how much income would it take for you to be happy? They answer that 20% more would ease their burdens and bring security. In other words, people who earn 20% less than you think they'll be happy if they earn what you earn. Happiness based on possessions will never satisfy us. It always leaves us wanting more. It's a spiritual issue, not just a financial issue. Are we going to listen to the wisdom of the world or the wisdom of God? Paul's remedy is to put our faith in God. He suggests that we do good things, that we should be rich in good deeds, that we should be generous and willing to share. Today, we've shared what we love about our church, where we see Jesus in our church. There's lots of things that I love about our church. I especially love the way that we've enfolded some of the young adults into our midst. That's AJ and Lauren, and they're helping at this point with our diaper ministry and wrapping up the diapers that are delivered so that other young mums can be supported. There's Owen. Owen's been helping out on our soundboard week after week. And he's also had many of the men in the church have wrapped their arms around him and supported him through his last year of high school, which had its challenges. And we sent him off last week, week before, 3 weeks ago, off to the Navy. And then there's Marie, little Marie, who you've loved and sent off to college. She's now doing well, but you helped her navigate those steps. And then there's people in our midst who share their gifts, like teaching us how to bead. And when there's a stranger who shows up on our doorstep, That's Andrew there with the cap on. They invite him into our midst to make beads with us. And then there's the joy of fellowship and the laughter and fun that we have together. And then the people that we bless, that have been blessed by your love and your generosity. All those backpacks that went off to our local schools, full of school supplies. And our small faith groups who meet week by week and share and discuss their faith. And Jesus turns up again and again. That's this week's one, discussing the loss and grief. And then we're a witness in the local community. That's supporting PFLAG on the float just last weekend in Nevada City. And there's some of the students from Bear River that I work with as I go into their GSA to help support them. And then there's our beautiful premises here. Fred so lovingly taking care with the Boy Scouts, with our garden and the produce going off to Hospitality House. And don't our trustees do a great job of looking after our premises? So much to love about our church, so many places that Jesus appears, and that's just scratching the surface. And then Paul says there's a difference between just living in our culture and living a Christian life, what Paul calls truly life, so that they may take hold of the life that really is life. Selfishness, self-centeredness, and greed are not attributes that we admire. Being generous, though, and being willing to share, those are things we admire and aspire to. No stories from Scripture tell of people living the God-related spiritual life whilst fostering a greedy attitude. Acquisitiveness does not foster a life rich in God. How people use what they have, that's what matters to God. Generosity extends beyond money, but it does include it, and it's a fruit of the Spirit. Generosity flows from the heart, first from God's heart into ours, and then from our hearts into the world. Some of you are reading the daily devotional, Practicing Extravagant Generosity, Daily Readings on the Grace of Giving by Robert Schnese. And in the reading for Tuesday, the author recalls one spring when he saw various birds preparing to build their nests. He talked about how we metaphorically compare our homes to nests, saying things like, "You built quite a nest for yourself here." We use the idiom nest egg to mean a sum of money that we've saved for our future, and an empty nest when our children have left home. The word nest often connotates shelter, coziness, home-like, comfortable. We think of it as providing our own comfort for our own security. Schnese points out, though, that the nests that the birds build are not for their benefit, but for the benefit of their young, for the next generation. Like birds, we build nests in our churches, the buildings, the programs, the ministries, the services we offer. Are they for our own comfort or for the benefit of future generations? Sometimes we get so caught up in what we want or the way we like it or the way that it's always been done that we forget that we need to look towards the comfort of those who are newer or to those whom we should be inviting to come in. And we can celebrate that that's why we are a reconciling congregation, because we want to be a place that is welcoming of all God's children. But we still need to make sure that we don't shut anyone out, because what we're doing is comfortable for us and uncomfortable for newcomers. Every tangible item that we have here, this building, the altar, the chairs, the piano, the hymnals, the screens, kitchen equipment, office furniture, the computer, the printers, a new roof from last year. All of these things are the fruit of someone's generosity. We're blessed. We really are. And then in Wednesday's daily reading, Schnese reflected upon the helicopter-like seeds that fall from the trees at this time of year. His son called them seeds with wings, and the wind can carry them quite long distances, rather than just dropping them straight down in the immediate vicinity. So much of the impact of our lives and grace and the love of God that we sow impacts those who are closest to us. But we're also called to extend God's grace beyond our own small circle. Last Christmas we sent 48 Lucy lights to Gaza. Just back in May we sent 210 health kits to Umkhor. And we know, because of our mission trip there, that some of those health kits went off to Arizona and to the immigrants there. Through our annual conference, we supported Africa University and recovery in Puerto Rico. We sent, last year was it, or maybe the year before, we sent some of our hymnals to a church in California, a Methodist church in Clear Lake, that was destroyed by the fires in the area at that time. Some of our prayer shawls have gone to places wide and far. And we've been the recipient of gifts from afar too. Looking at that beautiful painting over there that was brought back from Haiti. And somewhere around here there's a beautiful olive cross that came back from Palestine. There's no end to what God can accomplish anywhere in the world when our seeds have wings and our generosity moves beyond ourselves. Each of these seeds that we sow is like a thread woven into a tapestry. Each song we sing, each step we dance, each nail we pound, each march we join, each rift we mend, each check we write, is one small part of the greater whole, as our hearts beat in rhythm with one another. God uses our giving to change us, give us different motivations. Giving moderates our desires to acquire more and aims us at what ultimately satisfies. It draws us closer to God. It aligns us more closely with God's desire for us. It makes us more spiritually healthy. There's much to love about our church. Perhaps we don't celebrate those things enough. So let's enjoy this time of celebration over the next few weeks. It's not too late to pick up and start reading our devotional guide, Practicing Extravagant Generosity. And next week you'll bring back our second heart card and identify a person in the church who's contributed to your spiritual growth. So come next week, come prepared to share and to celebrate. Thanks be to God. Amen. Let us pray. Lord, help us to see how rich we truly are, both in material possessions and in the blessings you shower upon us each day. May we who are rich learn to share what we have with others. Remind us that striving after worldly possessions and selfish pursuits is hollow and empty, and that the practice of giving actually directs us towards what ultimately satisfies. Help us to find abundance in our willingness to give, so that we may begin to live a life that is truly never ending. Amen.